What is autism? Autism spectrum disorder, or autism, are terms for a group of complex disorders of brain development. There are varying degrees of autism and can include difficulties in social interaction, verbal and nonverbal communication, and repetitive behaviors. Sometimes an intellectual disability is present, or difficulties in motor coordination, as well as attention and physical health issues. Some persons with autism excel in visual skills, music, math, and art. There are 70 million people in the world with autism, and around 1 in 68 children in America have autism, according to statistics from the CDC. That means there are around 3 million individuals with autism in the US alone. And about 1/3 of these people are nonverbal, but can learn to communicate, sometimes using assistive technologies as a means to communicate. Most assistive technologies are for people with communication problems, as 1/3 of the autism population are nonverbal. A lot of these ATs are apps on mobile devices which can speak for someone with verbal difficulties, as well as apps to help people with learning and social skills. There is a technique to help individuals known as social stories. They are a patient description of life's many topics and frequently include information that you and I take for granted, information that we may mistakenly assume that everyone knows. These stories can address topics like when and how to compliment others, what to expect in a job interview, and even simple topics such as how to play a game or explaining why flags move in the wind, said Carol Gray, the creator of Social Stories. These stories help increase comprehension for someone with autism. There are apps out there that can help parents and professionals to create social stories, and is an AT that can be very helpful in many cases. Recently, I had the opportunity to interview a coworker who has a son with autism. Her name is Tamara Howard, and her son's name is Rodney. At first glance, you may not even know that her son Rodney is even autistic until he acts up. Maybe if you were to converse with him, you would be able to notice. Tamara told me that the biggest barrier for him is social interaction. He also has issues with his emotions, and he doesn't react the typical fashion emotionally to common stressors. Sometimes he acts out in violent ways towards the people around him, which are usually Tamara and his grandparents. He can act out while playing video games, an activity that he really enjoys. Tamara believes that an assistive technology that would really help out Rodney would be an app to help create social stories. She said she would really like an AT that would really help him to not act out violently and would help regulate his emotions. Recently, I was able to actually meet Rodney and went over to their house and hung out for a little bit. We played Super Smash Bros., which is a game that Rodney really likes to play. He's actually pretty good for a 10-year-old and is actually pretty tall too. He's about the same height as me already, but I'm also really not that tall. While I was playing, I noticed some of the things he does while playing a video game. When it starts to become a little difficult, he gets off the couch and jumps up and down while yelling a bit. It really wasn't that bothersome to me though, and I actually really enjoyed playing Super Smash with him and his mom. It was a great experience. While I was there, I really didn't see him act up, and he never got violent, even when I won. I never have to spend much time with people with autism, but for people who are around it a lot, it can get pretty frustrating, and sometimes discouraging. I have a lot of respect for people who have autistic family members, and others who help take care of individuals with autism. I also have a lot of respect for those that are autistic, because it's not their fault. Tamara and I were discussing how we feel that people need to be more educated about autism and about the people that have it. Others without it can get scared around them, and sometimes even pick on them or hurt them. If people learned about it at a young age, maybe they would change the way they look at people with autism and be more patient towards others with disabilities. Education on these subjects would help people with disabilities and help keep them safe. My hope is that we can all remember that there are people who aren't like us, that sometimes they think different, feel different, and sometimes can't run around a field or park like we can. Understanding and acceptance is a step closer to a happier, safer world, especially for those with disabilities.